Hey guys, it's Matt Benfield from Chicken Jam. So today we're looking at Milkman the Amp 100 watt. So this thing is an incredible machine here. It's basically an amp head. Or it could be like a direct box, an amp simulator. It's a whole bunch of things, and it's super simple. I mean, there's only 7 knobs on this thing, which I love. And one reason I don't like the whole Axe effects and Kemper and all that thing is just because it's overwhelming. It's like I get anxiety just looking at that stuff. This thing is so simple. It's like 7 knobs, and you just plug it in, and it sounds good. You could plug it into a cab, which I'm doing here, or you could run it direct out with an XLR, and it's got a cab simulation on it. And believe it or not, like that sound, it is the best amp simulation I've ever heard, for me anyway. And when I do this live, I usually run the amp on stage with me, and then I just send an XLR out to the sound guy, and then I get a nice clear signal running through the mains. And you can also there's also a pedal out on here, so you can kind of pretty much bypass all of the effects and all that if you wanted to do that, if you wanted to run into an actual amp or something. But you still get all the control of the EQ and all this kind of thing. But it doesn't give you the amp simulation. Anyway, it's got reverb and it's got a boost, and those are the only 2 buttons on it, which is perfect. So, I mean, reverb, you want to have reverb, and it's a nice springy type reverb. In a way, it's got a really nice reverb to it, and just 2 knobs for that, you know, the amount of reverb and the decay. And then you got the boost, which does everything you would want a boost to do. It makes everything louder, which is perfect for taking solos and stuff like this, especially if you're playing live like me all the time. You don't want to, if you don't have a sound guy and you want to have a volume boost for your solos, it takes 1 more pedal off your chain. You don't have to have a boost pedal, and you got a knob for that. So you also have a master volume, and then you have regular a volume which will kind of break up the amp in a way. So on the far left side over here, if we turn that volume all the way up, it will kind of break up the amp in a way. So it's pretty cool in that sense. And I usually keep it around like 1 or 2 o'clock. And you got treble and bass, and that's it. No mid knob, which is fine because it doesn't even need it. It's got the perfect amount of mids in it, I think. And I usually run the treble around like 2 o'clock and the bass around like 10 o'clock. So I first found out about this thing through the Grateful Dead community because I saw a whole lot of guys doing like JGB tributes and Grateful Dead tributes playing through this thing to get that Jerry tone, and it certainly has the Jerry Garcia tone, especially if you rock up on the middle pickup and then jack the treble up all the way. Check this out. Okay, so tell me this doesn't sound like Jerry. It's totally Jerry. But for me, I like Jerry Garcia tone and all that stuff, but that wasn't the reason I got it. So the reason I got it is because I feel like it does that, but it does a whole lot of other things better. You know, I want that vintage Dead sound, but I also like country music, and I also like Fish and Trey and all them. And so for me, I'll show you what this thing sounds like. So this is how I pretty much have it set. And that's pretty much just clean. And if I put like a little distortion on it, you really get some cool stuff. other thing I've got going on right now is I've got a compressor on, and it's the Boss CS3 or 2. I'm sorry, CS2. If I took this thing off, I mean, this is what it's going to sound like. Actually, let me just turn everything off here. This is what it's going to sound like if you just plug directly into it. And I'm out of tune. And I tune because I care. But anyway, that's what it's going to sound like. And it's still a great sound, like if you don't have anything going into it. But for me, I usually run the compressor, and then I run into a King of Tone into a JHS color box to give it extra sparkle. So that's without it. And put all my stuff back on. That's with my stuff on. So for me, I like the whole jam band sound, and I also like country chicken picking, obviously. This is chicken jam. So you get this nice, like... And, I mean, you can still turn up the treble some, which I'll do, to get more of that. It's just a great sound. And also, I'm running into this bad boy, which is just a regular cab, but I've got a Jensen Jet series speaker in here. And just one, a single. And I've tried it with a bunch of different cabs, and it's pretty similar sounding across the board. But to me, this is the best sounding one. Yeah, so that's a pretty basic overview of this thing, and I think it's a little pricey. You're going to end up spending about $1,000 on this thing if you want to get the 100-watt. But it's worth every penny, and I mean, this is pretty loud, and it's only like halfway up right now. And so live, I usually can crank this sucker up really loud. So it gets really loud, and it gets really cool. So one thing I also want to show you is the way it kind of breaks up naturally. If I turn that volume on the left all the way down versus up. Okay, I turned it all the way down and then turned the master up, so you get so it's cleaner. Now I'm going to turn it all the way up. Okay. So now it's breaking up nicely. Right? So where I usually have it, though, is like not broken up that much. I usually have it right about here. Still broken up, but not as much, you know. But that's a personal preference thing. And so the boost breaks it up also. If I turn this guy up, this is with the boost up at noon. So yeah, you get some really cool stuff. You can put some distortion on this. I mean, like, yeah, it gets really crazy. It's the boost off. But I just have it as a slight volume boost, and it breaks up slightly when I use it. And, I mean, that's a pretty good overview of it, I think, for me. I don't know any of these details about this thing. I don't know what it's modeled after. I don't know any of that. All I know is that it sounds cool. So if you like cool sounding things that have got this jam band vibe to it, but it also has this country vibe to it, which is like our whole thing here, this is definitely the amp mod pedal to get. And I don't know if you can really even call it a pedal, because I mean, a lot of people I see just use it as like an amp head, you know, or like a direct box, really. But anyway, that's all we got today.